What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer. Today I'll be doing a prediction video for the upcoming Premier League season. It feels kind of nostalgic. My first ever video was a Premier League prediction, and could be talk about it again. And yeah, this is going to be a video predicting it, and just want to say this is pre-recorded because it's going to be going away in a little bit. This is July 30th, so if signings go through, this is going to be out of date pretty soon. And just want to say this is a prediction as teams are right now. I'm not going to be doing anything like, okay, this team's going to have a bad November, but then they're going to sack their manager, bring in Big Sam, then they stay up. No, these just teams as they are right now. So yeah, just getting into it, going top to bottom. I think first place, Man City, pretty much by far the favorites. Signing Erling Haaland is huge. I feel like striker, well, they haven't really been playing with a true striker. It had been a little bit of a weakness for them. Now the team's just about complete. No holes to this Man City squad. Even if they have injuries, it's tough to see them not finishing in first. They just look really good. And maybe Liverpool, if they get really on fire, can give them a challenge. But I don't think it's really that controversial. Man City's probably going to win the league. In second place, I'm going to go with Liverpool. I'm not too sure if they end up finishing in second. Losing Mane is a pretty big deal for them, but I think they're the only team that can realistically compete with Man City for the title. So I do want to put them in second. I think while losing Mane, like that is a big deal. He's a huge part of that team. A lot of goals. He might end up making the team a little bit more balanced. With Firmino kind of coming out of the team, they were really not having a good striker up top. So having Darwin Nunez in there, bringing in a more real consistent striker, I think that helps out them out a lot. And Salah should still be on fire. Diaz, Jota, they're going to get going as well. I'm really looking forward to see Thiago play. And hopefully the team will continue to do well. It's just a really fun team. I call this Liverpool side a machine a lot. I feel like that's what they are. And they're a great team. I think they have a chance to compete with Man City, but it's going to be tough. They're still going to be fun to watch, though. In third place, I'm going to go with Tottenham. I'm actually a big fan of Conte. Not really a surprise. I think Perisic is a really good short-term signing, and Richarlison might be able to complete that attack, join a really good front three with Harry Kane and Son. And I think they should be able to get to the top four. I mean, even players who aren't really that great tend to look really good under Conte. Victor Moses was like an amazing player. He really made Marcos Alonso's career. I think they're going to be able to do well. He gets the best out of his players. I think Tottenham can get to the top three. Maybe they can really start to, I don't know, change the culture around the club and really start to compete for trophies. Then last team in the top four, and this is probably one of the tougher decisions until we get to the relegation zone. I'm going to go with Chelsea. They're the top four team I'm least confident in. Their attack kind of in shambles, midfield starting to decline. Conte's getting older. Jorginho, if they figured out his goalkeepers figured out his penalties, I feel like that hit his confidence. But I really like signing Sterling. The defense looks really good. Even though they lose Rudiger, a big fan of Koulibaly. They're bringing in a ton of signings, and I think they're going to be good enough to get back to the top four. I think some of their attackers will step up. Kai Havertz is due for a real breakout Premier League season. Pulisic could get going. Maybe Werner really finds his form. Ziyech. Like, a lot of things can go right for them. And I think we can see the things that could go wrong. But like I said before, I think a lot of things will go right for this Chelsea team. And I think they have the confidence. They're still a Champions League winning team. In fifth place, Arsenal. Probably the closest team to making the top four. But I don't know. I'm just not sure about them. You have a bit of controversy going around Partey right now. I'm not sure if he's even going to be playing for them. But I don't think that really affects their position for me. Gabriel Jesus, he could be a great striker for them, but I don't know. I really didn't see that in Man City, and the service is only going to be getting worse from there. Zinchenko seems like he'll be playing a left back, which seems like a bit of a waste. I'm a huge fan of Saka and Odegaard. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do. Martinelli could have an amazing season as well. But I think their defensive midfield, Xhaka, and whoever's next to him, probably not the greatest. I'm still not the biggest fan of their back line. They're going to have to get everything figured out. Maybe they'll be able to get to top four, but I kind of see this team underachieving, which not sure about that, but just going with my gut. Next, in sixth place, got Manchester United. It seems to be pretty universal that this year they're the sixth best team of the top six. It's kind of tough to gauge how they'll do under a Ten Hag. You'd expect kind of a year of transition. I don't think that Eriksen is really the solution for their attack. I don't think he does anything that Bruno can't. And I'm not sure if Martinez is the guy who fixes their defense. They did lose a lot of mainstays this year, which might end up being good for the team. I'm not sure. They have a lot of talent. Sancho, Rashford, one of them should really step up. Strike Force could be getting better. It's, again, tough to say. You really can't predict how they'll do until you really see them under Ten Hag. I'm really expecting Veron to have a much better season, and hopefully they can really start to put it together, because it's kind of weird having Manchester United this low, but hopefully they can start to really do well. Next, going into 7th place, and we're kind of in like the mid-table teams, or I don't really expect them to be worried about relegation, and maybe they could push for Europe, but kind of expecting to be kind of middle of the pack this year. I'm going to go with Leicester as of July 30th. This is when it's recorded. As of right now, I love their midfield of Maddison, Tielemans, and Ndidi. I like their attack. Vardy's going to be back. They've got Daka, who I feel like was the solution to, like, I thought that he was the guy who they should have signed to replace Vardy before they did it. Like, that was a really good pickup. Fofana, again, this is the 30th, looks really good on defense. Man, with Söyüncü next to him, they've had a lot of breakout players. Like, I think this is a really fun team. I love this Leicester squad. I feel like I thought like a couple years ago, if they kept this team together, you'd be considering it a top 7. They'd be able to break into that. And they have kept the team together as of right now. I think there's a very good chance, like, let's say Chelsea, Arsenal, United end up messing up. Like, they could break into that top 4. Like, it's tough to say, but I think they'll be able to do it. I think they could at least finish 7th. I don't think they'll break into the top 4 necessarily, but I think they have the potential to do so. Then in 8th place, I got West Ham. Very strong season next year, but their focus is going to be divided with European stuff as well. Weirdly, I saw a guy in a Ben Johnson jersey today. That was interesting. But team did get reinforced a bit. I think they should hope to do well in the Premier League and Europe. I'm hoping they might be able to push for the title in the Conference League. That could be really fun to watch West Ham go on a run. But with their focus divided, I feel like they slip a little bit in the Premier League, but they're still a solid team. In 9th place, I'm going Newcastle. I mean, we know they're basically a sleeping giant right now. They've got a ton of money behind them, and they continue some good form, and I think they made some smart signings, really improving the defense. Bruno and St. Maximin are going to be really fun to watch in their attack, and I think they could push for a little bit more. I expect a pretty big signing to come in January, but I'm not factoring that into this. I don't think they'll really be concerned about relegation. I think they're going to be doing really well. Then 10th place, you got Aston Villa. I'm a big fan of Stevie G, and Coutinho should finally be that guy to replace Jack Grealish's production for them. I think this team's really good. I like the squad pretty much all around. Luka Digne is a great signing. I love their defense, their center backs. Manny Cassius looked good. I think I'm like the only guy who thinks Jack McGinn's a little bit overrated, but he's still a good player. A great strike force in the team. Like, I'm expecting them to do well. I don't think they'll be that concerned about relegation. Next, in 11th place, going Crystal Palace, my team. Pretty good squad as well. Really fun attack, solid defense. Losing Conor Gallagher hurts, but bringing Decore should do pretty well. No real striker really hurts the team. They don't have that guy yet. Maybe Edouard will be able to step into that. Mateta. I don't think Benteke is going to recover his form ever. But I think it's still a really good team. Going to be really fun to watch. Like Elise, Eze, Zaha. The new signing Malcolm looks really good. And I don't think this team's really in its final form yet. I think they're still like one midfield signing, get a striker. Like, they're that away from being like really Patrick Vieira's vision. But this year, I think they shouldn't really be worried about relegation. And maybe they could push for more, but I think 11th is probably where they end up. In 12th, I'm going Brighton and Hove Albion, another squad that's really fun to watch. Probably still not really good enough to complete Graham Potter's vision, and I honestly could see Graham Potter leaving to take the England job, but it's still a really good squad that I don't think will be really threatened by relegation. It's good to see. I hope Lamptey is really good this year. He's such a fun player to watch. Then the 13th, the last team that I really don't think is going to be that worried about relegation is Wolves. I think their main worry is their striking position. Goals are going to be hard to come by, but maybe Fabio Silva will really improve, or Raul Jimenez will recover form. He really hasn't been himself since his injury, which sucks because he was doing really well. But their midfield is so strong, and their defense as well. Like, Cody's such a good player in the system. I really like Max Kilman. I feel like he's due for a big move. Their wingbacks have been good. Moutinho, Neves, they've been really solid in the Premier League. Like, it's a good team. I don't think they're going to get much higher than this. Like, I think 8th is about the best they can do without with the goal scoring being a bit of an issue, but I think their defense and midfield is so good they don't really have to be worried about relegation. Next, teams that I feel like could be relegated. They're definitely worried about it. Southampton is the first team to really be worried about. Now, with Southampton, I feel like every few years I just expect them to get relegated, but they have somebody who steps up, and I feel like that's going to happen again this year. I don't really like the squad, but I could easily see Adam Armstrong breaking out with a 10-goal season or something. They still have James Ward-Prowse, who has been winning games for them. And like I said, I'm kind of expecting someone to step up for them. I can't really say why, I can't say who, but I'm expecting them to stay up. But they are definitely in danger of relegation. Next, Leeds. I think they made some good signings, but losing Calvin Phillips and Rafinha, that hurts. Their signings will have to get going pretty well immediately, and Patrick Bamford will have to kill it. But I think the signings are going to do well, even if Bamford doesn't do too well. They stayed up without him, and I think they'll be able to stay up, but it is definitely a worry, and if Bamford struggles for goals, it could be pretty big trouble. Next, I'm going with Everton. I think they're staying up. Losing Richarlison does really hurt, and they weren't that good last year, but I think their signings are pretty underrated. Tarkowski could really help their defense. I think Dwight McNeil's going to have a really good season. I think playing at Burnley really held him back, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin will get going again. And honestly, I think there's a chance they push for top 10, but they were really bad last year, and if Calvert-Lewin gets hurt again, if McNeil and Tarkowski don't do well, it could really be trouble for them, but I think they stay up. And lastly, the only team that got promoted from the championship I'm expecting to stay up, and I'm going with Fulham. I'm not too sure about this. They're a team that I'm not a huge fan of, but I do like their defense. Adebayo is a really strong defender. I think he's got a big move coming for him soon. And Mitrovic has done well in the preseason. I think his confidence will be high enough, and I think he can pull off 12 goals or so in the Premier League. I think he can do pretty well. He's done well in the Premier League before, and he was just insane the championship last season. They're carrying in a lot of confidence and a lot of form going in, and I think they'll be good enough to stay up. It's going to be tough for them, and if Mitrovic doesn't get a goal in the first 2 games, they have a really good chance of getting relegated. But I think they do just enough to stay up. Now, 3 teams I expect to go down, and the first one's Brentford. I think second season syndrome will hit, and what I mean by that is I think their players who were part of that promotion-winning team, their confidence, all their form, I think it's going to be kind of not gone, but they're going to kind of regress to how they really are as players, and I think that they're going to look a lot worse. Losing Eriksen really hurts, and if Tooney loses form or gets hurt, they're kind of in trouble. I do hope they stay up because they are a really fun team. For a while, they were really good for a while. I was hoping they'd get promoted when they had who was their other striker who was doing really well? I can't remember him right now. The guy who went to Aston Villa. I feel stupid for not remembering him, but yeah, they are going to be. I think they're a good enough team. Ollie Watkins, sorry. They're a good team, but I think they're kind of in trouble. They're the team expecting to really regress this year. Next, Nottingham Forest. I do like the signings that they made, but I like Steve Cooper as a manager. I just don't think their team's good enough to stay up. I think he's just too weak. Hopefully Nico Williams and Omar Richards do well. I'm a fan of those two, but it's kind of rough for them. And lastly, and least, we've got Bournemouth. After the championship finished last year, I thought they were in the best position to stay up. I like Scott Parker. I really like the squad depth. It's Solanke and Moore, 2 pretty good strikers. I think Ben Pearson was coming off the bench, and I've been a big fan of him in the championship for a while. But I guess the owner was confident in the squad too because they did not improve the team much. And while I like them, I can't see them beating out an Everton. Even though they were pretty bad, they've got Premier League level players, and I don't think this Bournemouth team does. I really don't see them staying up unless something changes, but I think at the moment they're going down. And yeah, that's my predictions for the Premier League. See City winning it, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Chelsea should be making Europe, and expecting Brentford, Forest, and Bournemouth to go down at the moment. As I said, it's July 30th. Things could change before the season starts. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. And yeah, that's all I talk about right now. I'm going to be covering Premier League a little bit more this year. And yeah, I'll see you.